Welcome, folks. Today's episode introduces Lene, Ed, and Dem, with whom I've had a bond over someone who has impacted our lives deeply. Hello there, Ozzy Stewart here. Welcome to Season 9's Thank You Project segment of our On The Call podcast. And now it's a network experience. I appreciate you for tuning in. On this episode, I'm shining light on Deb, Ed, and Lene. All here to offer tribute to a man whose impact we all still feel after almost 20 years of his passing. We're also going to hear from Winsome on Inside the Call, the after show. So please like, follow, share, comment, support, donate, store, check it out, members page. And here we go. So I'm going to start with Deb. In introducing Deb, what led you to storytelling, to your storytelling skills from TV news to crafting narratives for corporations and nonprofits?
As a child, I loved watching television news like Dan Rather, and I was always fascinated by that. And I remember when I was in grade school, like the Challenger crashed, and that was like one of the biggest things with the rocket going up to space crashed. And so I was really fascinated back then. As a young child, I was fascinated by television. And so that's how I initially got into, that
was your intro.
Yes.
Yeah. So then, could you tell us more about your experience in booking media tour interviews for legendary musicians?
Yes.
Influential.
Yeah. So I ended up wanting to do film and moved down to this area to work on film, and that just didn't really work out. And so what I ended up doing is doing media relations. So I worked for Live Nation or Universal Music. So like whenever there was a new album out or they're going on tour, they would hire me and I would book like about 3 hours worth of interviews at a satellite media tour. So I'm not sure, it's like a media junket, but they would go to New York or LA or Boston, and then they would sit down. The talent would be there, and I was the one that set up all the interviews. So, like for example, I did Nelly Furtado, and I had interviews from it was her first actually Latin album that she did, and that was wild. It went really well. But I did interviews from Canada, Ontario, to like LA to Puerto Rico in 3 hours. So all the different time zones. So I would set that up, and
that's not an easy thing to do.
Yes.
Ed, can you share a memorable experience from your time working with Kennard Lewis and coaching the youth baseball?
Yeah, Kennard is my surrogate son. He's a young man that was part of my baseball program that I ran for about almost 10 years while all this stuff was going on. And I think the most memorable moment for me is the moment that he realized he could do it. He was a very unsure person. He had a stuttering problem. And by spending time with the cool kids, so to speak, they kind of took him under his wing. And then one day, he just started standing with his chest out. And one of the things that always cracks us up is that his feet were humongous. Like he was 5'11", but he had like size 15 feet.
Wow.
He's now 6'2", so he finally is grown
into his feet.
But and so he hit this ball about 450 feet up on 128th Street, that AstroTurf field, and only got a double because he's so slow. Like the kids were running forever. The ball, like if you look at Central Park, you know how they have a bunch of baseball fields. Like he hit the ball to the other baseball field And like it, on one bounce, bounced off the walls, the kids are running at top speed, and he just rolled into second. Everybody else would have had a home run, but he rolls into second, and he's just jumping up and down, and he's just filled with joy because he knew he could do it.
So
And he did.
let me ask you, where is he now? What is he doing now?
He's actually a guidance counselor
Oh.
at Iona Prep, and he's also a public speaker. He
Nice.
has his own YouTube station.
Yes.
He talks to people his age, and he spends a lot of time with the youth. And he's just interested in helping people.
So let me ask you, are you a minister?
No, I come from a family of ministers.
Where did the preacher man label come from?
So I have a great aunt who's not with us any longer, and I'd like to say that she knew God personally, like had lunch with him every Sunday, you know, was in church every day. And she said to me about a year before she passed that I was going to be the next preacher in the family. And I was like, Auntie, I don't even go to church. She's like, that's all right, baby. And I thought about my family, and I chose preacher man to honor all the ministers in my family because preachers are teachers.
Lovely. So Lene, could you walk us through your creative process when choreographing a roller skating routine? What's the process?
Well, first I have everybody learn on foot before they put their skates on. Because if you learn on foot first, you find your balance then. The steps, you can put them up in your head. And it's much easier than teaching on skates because of the fear of falling.
Okay.
And so once you get that foundation and balance, it's so much easier. Foot first, then I put you on envelopes.
So next question, what has been your most memorable performance to date, and what has made it so special?
On my rollers?
On your roller skates, honey. Yes.
Wow.
Because you've performed all over the place, which I guess this is just an intro to before I do the bios.
When I did the trolls for Macy's.
Okay.
And also when I did the video for Adishi, You Make Me Official is the song that I'm breaking. Wow, maybe over 50 skaters to be in that video.
Ed coached youth baseball in NYC. He became known as preacher man, as he said, and he has also begun his soulful music expression, I'll call it. You will let me know because you have albums, etc. that's in play, right?
Yes.
Right.
Preacher Man's live performances are celebrated as must-see underground gems in New York City. Is that still underground or above ground?
Well, you know, what I've done is that I've been focusing on Harlem. For years, I played downtown.
Right.
Knitting Factory,
Yes.
GV,
All
Joe's
these
Pub.
places. And I found a spot called The Shrine, which is not really a spot to find, but
Preacher Man at the Shrine.
I have residency this fall, and I'll be there once a month.
Wow.
I just found a place that not only do I feel comfortable with, I want people to come uptown and experience that energy.
Right.
A lot of times when we're downtown in the noted clubs, it's more about being in the club than actually seeing the performer.
Right.
And so now I make people come uptown and just bask in all
But
that.
you have a particular band. You have a band.
Yes, well, yeah, the revival. The revival is unique because I actually have generational members in it. It started like I have a father who's not with us, who doesn't play anymore, but he's actually subbing for me. But both his boys play in my band now.
Okay.
So I have film of them standing in the crowd watching me perform.
Right.
And now they're on stage.
How many albums do you have?
I think I'm on my 4th, but I have a bunch of like single releases, stuff like that. Spotify,
Under what?
Preacher Man and the Revival. I also had a song that got to number 10 on the BBC list, a song that was done by John Fine. It's called Africa Calling.
Okay.
And I was in a project called Holy Forest, and it was African music basically, and it was my first foray into that, and it was just so awesome to be a part of something like that, and then to actually see it make an impact in the world. Of course, I made no money off it because it's sad, but, you know, but I was a part of it.
Good to know, Deb.
Yeah.
Deb Shune brings over 20 years of expertise in crafting compelling narratives for corporations, nonprofits, and entertainment properties. Currently, she's specializing in creating digital experiences for a global healthcare company within their corporate communications team. She has a reputation for creating and digitally transforming impactful content to engage audiences with a strong background in project and IT management. Her career began in TV news, as she said before, booking media tour interviews for legendary musicians. She's also a very avid photographer, and she's committed to ethical and social responsibility in the digital space and can frequently be found with her Sony Alpha. Is it still an A6000?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Capturing the high-low of city, nature, and culture displayed at the _Hudson_photographer. So there.
Yes.
I'm very, very happy for you to have you here. And we're going to get into a little bit of your photography in a minute, but the change to photography, have you been doing that all this time?
So my father he's passed away many years ago, but when he was in the Army, he took slides. That was a thing that they did in the old days. So I'm always fascinated by that. But I got my first camera, a Pentax camera, real film in high school. So I was able to take, we actually developed our own film. We had a black room where we went in and actually developed everything. And he taught us like the composition. And composition and photography is so important. And so that's how it all began. Is since
and I'm still waiting, folks, for this special piece of art.
Yes.
Into the photography. I'm waiting for it.
So. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you're getting it. Yes.
We also have Lene Davis, was born in Detroit, Michigan, with a deep passion for entertainment. She started her artistic studies in high school before moving to New York City after graduating from Clifford Fear's Academy of Music and Dance. She continued to hone her craft by studying acting at Negroes Ensemble and Company. She has an impressive resume with credits in TV, film, commercials, concerts, and even stunts and professional dance roller skating. My son used to do roller soccer, particularly. Her notable performances, as she said, included Avicii, Black Girls Rock, AOL Summer Stage, The First Ladies of Chic, New York Times. She has been recognized in the media by with features in the Daily News, LA Times, and Good Day, New York. She has skated, cast, and choreographed in 14 cities across the world, including France and Japan. She also hosted private parties, weddings, concerts. She's preparing for the next opportunity. So look her up at the name Moving Star. There you go. Question for you. Yes. There was a part years ago in Central Park where for years there was a fight to get a certain area paved. Was it ever paved?
Yes, just recently was paved.
You're kidding.
Yes, Central Park dance skaters recently paved, and I think after the first season, the floor or the cement started to crumble again. So they had to call them back in to be paid.
You said it took, what, 18 years? 16?
Yes, it took 18 years. And I think because, you know, they were grandfathered in, sometimes when you ask someone for something, you have to ask them in a certain way. And you just can't walk in there and say, listen, you got to do this because I've been here. And I think that sort of caused some of the conflict.
Are you still a VP of the association?
I was a VP up until last year.
Okay.
They had a Donald Trump election, a fake one. I never should have to step down just because the president's stepped down. I should have still been VP. But people play mind games in the world. We know this and all different things. So, no, I am not, but I'm still president. People think that I am.
You're still.
And I am the president of Central Park Dance Theaters. You got it?
Right. Okay. So, the two people are not here with us presently, but they're here in mind spirit. Winston Sinclair will be calling in for the second part of this conversation. And Winston Sinclair is a highly respected casting director and founder of the global casting agency Winston Sinclair and Associates, a graduate of Florida A&M University. She began her film and television career under the tutelage of film director Spike Lee, casting 57 films and film projects and producing many. I think she's actually produced 6 on her own, but she's worked with, she's worked on Pariah, All Eyes on Me, Barbershop, Too Fast, Too Furious, NY, New York Undercover, Amistad, which I loved, Waiting to Exhale, Crooklyn, etc. That is Winston Sinclair. So now, guys, let's get back to some questions. Lene, how do you stay motivated and continue to find joy in your work after all these years doing what you do?
I remember asking God, just let me roll through life. Oh my God, because I find so
very
much freedom on my skates. I get a chance to create. I get a chance to be exactly who I am. I don't need a partner to do that. And just the freedom of that has made me move forward in everything that I'm doing. Right now I have a script that's in someone's hands that involve roller skating. The drive from a child, because my parents used to always pull me out from amongst 8 children to perform for them. And the hecklers were always in the wings, which were my sisters and brothers, laughing at me. I had these eyes that were so big that they always laughed at my eyes. Oh, look at her eyes, look at her eyes. So I went through a lot of different changes as a child. And I played some of that back throughout my years of existence. And knowing that I always wanted to be an entertainer. I always wanted to be an entertainer. And I know that you had to sing. You had to dance. You could be a singer that was strong in dancing, or a dancer that was strong as a singer. But I know you had to have all of those things in order to make it in the industry. So for years, I went on the road for singing groups. Like when they had all the groups that would go out and do the 50 parties, we would have the Marvelettes, and then we'd have one Marvelette that was close to being the original, and then the others were people that could wear the dresses.
So the motivation is still there for you.
Oh, yeah.
After all these.
Oh, yes.
So, Ed, how has your music evolved over time, and what personal experiences have influenced your songwriting?
Oh, all of life. I know, like, the title track of my first album, Negro Say Crunchy and Milk. I was on the phone with my best friend, and we were talking about the Constitution. And we're sitting there, and I'm like, yeah, in the Constitution, it says blacks are only 3/5 of a man. And he's like, you're right. And I said, I'll call you back in 10 minutes. And the song was done. And that's probably one of the most impactful things in my life, because, like I said, I come from a family that's heavily religious other than my parents. So, like, church was something that when we're going to grandma's house, you better be prepared for it. And, you know, we're Southern Baptists, so don't think that you only get out any time before Jesus is coming back. Look, as a 9-year-old boy, I had to sit through 8 of my uncles and cousins preach in one night.
Oh, God.
In one night.
Wow.
But I was completely fascinated by it because of the power that they had. And being a little kid standing around these adults, sometimes they didn't know you were in the room. And so they were having adult conversation, but they're supposed to be preachers. And so they'd see like a woman walk by and be like, God has blessed her in ways, you know, and start giggling.
So all of that is what has helped your music evolve?
Yes, because seeing both sides and being somebody that gets along with people, people open up to me. They tell me their secrets. I don't ask them what's wrong. And suddenly, I know. And then, instead of me giving you the typical advice, I'll write a song and not talk about you, but it'll be designed to help you through that experience.
Deb, how do you balance your passion for photography with your work creating digital experiences for the global healthcare company?
Well, I find that creating content for global or more that type of stuff, it takes a lot of energy out of me. So where I get refreshed is when I go walking in the city or thriving where there's energy and being able to see things through my eyes and bring my camera out. So that gives me energy, it gives me to help impact what I write.
Do you get, because you travel to Spain a lot, right? So
I do, yes, I do travel to Spain. So, yeah, I like to travel as well. And that also gives me energy and gives me, you know, that because if you write content every day, you write every day, you create, you know, you do Adobe every single day and you edit photos and you edit videos and you do that all day long. And it takes a lot out of you. So being able to, you know, take a trip to Spain, and Barcelona is my favorite city ever. Going there is just...
she will meet people she wants to move there.
I do. Yes. Yes, I do.
Yes.
Yes.
So, now we get into something. Lene, how did you meet Renton? When and where?
I met him, oh gosh, I think it was on one of Spike Lee's smokes.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly what movie.
Did he put you in it, or?
I Winsome Sinclair.
Winsome did of this. Got it.
Yes. And being on all of these different sets, I got a call from Renton one day saying, "Hey, Lene, we need you to stand in for Grace Jones." And he said, I said, "Grace Jones?" I said, "You know, I told Grace Jones, I'm short." I said, "Don't worry, we're sending a car for you. Get ready." And I said, "Wow." Right. So I got hired on the movie Boomerang to stand in and double Grace Jones. Hey, so I saw Renton every day on the set. And even before that, it was a film of, like I said, we worked so much together. And I said, "Renton, gotta come roller skating with me." So sometimes after we wrapped, we would go skating at the Roxy Roller Range. Gosh, Renton has been in my life so much. Renton was like my baby brother. Right. And he was always looking out for me in the industry.
And Ed, I'll put the same question to you.
I met Renton catering.
Yes.
Yeah.
Glorious Foods, right?
Yes. So Glorious Foods.
Yeah. Glorious Foods.
And like you know, 18-hour shifts, and Renton sometimes would actually, I worked in the back of the house because I didn't like the whole waiter thing, because those people were very special. And and you know, you spend 10, you know, sometimes he would come in the morning, and so we just have hours and hours. And as I was telling Ozzy, he could put up with me because I'm a little special sometimes. And especially after 12 hours, the filter goes away. Right. And he wasn't running for the hills. Right. It wasn't all holy. I could guarantee you,
preacher man,
that there was some NR-17 and worse going on. And he just rolled with it. But more importantly, Renton was somebody that I've known for 3,000 years that I just met again. And it was one of those things where it wasn't even like a discussion. It's just, I just ended up hanging out with him. And then the next thing, like, she ate me. He got me on there as an extra. And one of the things that's so cool, I can find myself at the final scene in the courtroom. You know, and I didn't know anything about movies, but my afro was humongous.
Yes.
And right in the corner, I see myself every time. But somehow he got me on that film.
That's what he does.
And the cookout.
Yes.
Too.
That's right. I was also on the cookout with Jason.
Yes. So I'm on the extra work that I think he just liked hanging out with me. So he would just like, come do this. And it was an adventure.
So Deb,
yes.
How, when, where did you meet Renton?
I met Renton through an old friend in Albany, New York, with the film. And that's how I met him. I met him here in New York City. And the biggest thing that I would say about him, like what you were just talking about, he was like one of those, I'm getting chills right now, but he was like one of those type of people that he could talk to anyone. Doesn't matter what nationality they are, doesn't matter if they're blind or whatever. He was just this very, like, he was a connector. And like even us here together right now, like I would have never have known all of you here without that. But there was something about him. Like he was almost like I don't know if this is the right word, but like almost like a spirit. He had such charisma, or such, like he was like a magnet. People would come to him. And
he treated them well.
And he treated them very well. I mean, he was just I've never actually, I don't think I've ever seen him mad. I don't think I ever really saw him mad. He in a way, he reminded me of my dad a little bit, because he was the type of person that would always see, if there's a will, there's a way. If you want it, you can have it. And I think that's what I remember him as.
Well, we're going to end this part here. And I'm just going to refer to Jason, who was also really wanted to be here, but he couldn't. Jason is a native of Florida, or was a native of Florida. He had been a Ford model who lived and worked overseas in Hamburg, Munich, Germany, Cape Town, London, Tokyo, all over the place. He worked with client base such as Bacardi Rum, BBD Underwear, Alcott Jeans, Cosmopolitan Magazine, Men's and Exercise and Fitness Magazine, Coors Light, etc. When he relocated in 2003 from Miami to New York, he studied acting at the Glasser Group. And he became a stand-in for Paul Walker on Too Fast, Too Furious. He was also featured as a hoopster in Queen Latifah's The Cookout. And that was all with Renton's way of seeing somebody and putting them to work, right? Renton's movie. He was also Renton's roommate. And he was as impacted as we all are, having been abroad. I think it was Japan. He might have been at the time when he heard about Renton's passing. So if you want to know more about that, I wrote a book, Amen to Sweet Spots, Tribute to Renton. Also became a thing. Okay, guys. It was just published in 2022. It began in 2004, right after Renton passed. And I say I wrote this, and in actuality, I feel it was written through me. To explain that, you would have to read the book, because I wasn't the only person putting pen to paper. So that's okay. Now, I'm going to say thank you, Ed, Lene, Deb, Jason Winsome, and Lene Hall. Lene Hall is how I met Renton. I met Renton because Lene Hall tricked me to a casting party when she told me that it was really, we're going to the club, Nell's at the time. Okay? And there you know, it happened to be Renton's party, and he came and sat in front of me when I was taking a break after sweating on the dance floor, and he goes, "What's up with you? Been trying to get you to do this film. It's important. So what's your problem?" And with that, that tells you who Renton is. Because right after that, he pulled out his script and he says, "We're going to go in that corner, you're going to read." That's Renton Kirk. And that's the person who is still impacting me to this day.
Wow.
Okay, so guys, again, thank you to Cheese, the OTC team, and to my audience for spending your valuable time with us, for allowing us this time to love on this spirit. So please like, follow, drop a comment, support us, donate, etc. Check us on Inside the Core. Please care to share. Remember, when you're on your beat, stay on the sunny, sunny side of the street safely. Be health conscious, kind to one another. And don't forget to give thanks for the little and big gifts, Renton, as we strive through and to this beautiful life. Inside the Core. Get there.